Yo, hey, howdy guys. Good evening. It's actually kind of like good morning. It's almost getting close to 1. Oh, but I've been working. I've been doing my homework and doing my other work too. I'm gonna go and videotape what I've done over at this Lottie Da. Might look similar to last year, but maybe I'll spend a little bit more time on things that I've made. I put that last little video I did on private for now. I've come to kind of joking. I told a few friends of mine today to kind of air this out. It's really a sad thing to lose friends. All right, and you lose them in such a queer way. It's just is amazing because they're still not telling the truth and what it was, they sidelined it. What I did is it just dawned on me that what I did is I went into this bar and stood at the bar, and while I was ordering my drink, I got to tell my friend, hey, what's happening? Where's this friend? Where's this guy that said that'd be there for me anytime I wanted him? And of course he would tell me that I was attacking him. So anyways, I'm not going to waste any more time on all that stuff, okay? I'm supposed to be slow to wrath and all, but I was just mad, it was just so ignorant, and what it is unnerving to think that, oh, no, I don't want to be right. I told you that this kind of shit, and that it's just happens. It just happens, And tomorrow's lesson, I was going to do it tonight, but I got into playing with what words mean and just got kind of carried away. But I was drawn to the studies of James, all right, the book of James. And I was writing it out. It seems to be pretty short, so I wrote up the first 3 chapters. And then I turned on, to hear them tell me the story in the video. And as I was listening to it, it got to 5 and it was done. I said, look at this. The whole book is just a quick book. It has 5 chapters. Now, I want to tell you that 5 means that whole chapter is going to be about our skin. And wow, it is just the coolest stuff. It really is. It is just absolutely amazing. The code runs all through. The code runs through all our body. No matter who was the writer, assume the writer is writing in this code. Everyone is writing in the same code. It's just so cool. But what you'll be learning with James, the first one is going to be talking about, it almost tells you about the patience, it's talking about the works, because this is the works of the body, the things that, later on, 1, 2, and 3, they're all going to have, this is what one is. One is the introduction of what's going on. So the first chapter is going to be about, well, let's just see real fast. James, a servant of God and of the Lord, the servant of God and of the Lord Jesus Christ, to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad, greetings. That's 1. My brethren, count it all joy when ye fall into diverse temptations. 3. Knowing this, that the trying of your faith worketh patience. And that's where I wanted to get to, is that idea of patience and works. These are things that, when we were talking earlier about why is the word hard to find, why is it hidden from us in some way, it's I don't know why, but it's telling us that, because we have to go through, some kind of a trial period of some kind. And through that do we get our salvations. And so, we also know that the works, the things works is 6. And 6 is a completion of a ladder. And you've had to climb this ladder to get there. And that doesn't mean making physical works, but it does mean to accomplish certain things, and it's really just trying to get that backbone of yours to straighten out and fly right. And and you'll see that in this whole thing of James, the whole thing's going to be about the body. And it's going to go about the dualities, and 2, when it comes down to, hey, let's see real fast. It's just so great. The second parts of this, where does it start? It's the rich man, poor man idea. You got the rich man, you're going to sit him over here. You got the poor man over there. You're always throwing him, you're always putting shit over the poor man. Listen, this is where my friends come in here during this James chapter 2. When you read it, it looks as if, hey, look at that. The rich man got a long ways to go. It really does. And the rich man is someone who thinketh that they are rich. This is where they were talking in the last stories, where these rich people, rich man or someone, they were tossing the money into the treasury, and then the woman, this widowed woman, tossed in all her life savings, which was 2 pence, 2 cents, 2 something, which is, her life. She tossed that in, and he says, truly, she tossed in a whole lot more than you guys could ever. And he says, because you just give with your wealth. You give with your wealth. That's not what he wants. He wants you to give your 2 sides. He wants you to give you. He wants you. That's all he wants. All right. And that's what the 2 represents. Okay, God's creation. 2 is you. So the number system or the code system even helps you to solidify this. That this is the truth, and that the code helps you. It helps to establish the truth when it comes down to training your eye to this. Because we have to do some eyeball lessons sometime. If you're not able to follow along with me, we're always getting these ears. James 3 is going to be, brethren, take thee not many masters, knowing that we shall receive the greater condemnation. That's number 1. So it's setting it up. Hey, you can't have a bunch of masters. If we do, then we're going to have more trouble. They'll go on to talking about this idea that you will have wrath, you without mercy. That's the way it is. What it means is, see, when God gives us wrath, we beg Him for mercy. Because it happens to us. It's an inside thing, and it cleans us out, and it's actually a nice thing to have God's mercy. And that's the mercy seat. But if you're on the outside, that mercy seat, oh my God, that's the trouble side of things. It talks about the flame, the tongue being, oh my God, you guys, I can't wait. But I want to talk about that, but I know it's going to take a long time, because I'm going to do all 3 at one time. I really should do all 5, but, it's such a short chapter, I have to switch it into 2. But here's what I wanted to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was taking apart names and find out what things mean. And this is one of the things that I did in high school, which was really cool. Was it high school? It wasn't high school. It was in, it would have been middle school, middle school. They changed things up back then. So it would have been like, would have been 8th, 6th, 7th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, 8th, and then it was 9, 10, 11, and 12. So was it 9th grade? Would have been a freshman? I can't remember how it is, but I took this course, semantics. And oh, it was just the coolest thing when you could, break things down by the root words, and they're just doing it with English words, and English words going back towards, all these words, Hebrew, the whole damn thing, because all these words, this came from this, blah, 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 and then it comes on downhill goes. All right, so what I was interested in and what brought me into this whole thing, oh, I know what it was that in one of the stories, it talks about, wasn't the word fulfilled when Abraham, to sacrifice Isaac, up on the hill. So this idea was really that, he took the route up there. When he finally made it up there, he got ready to kill his firstborn, because that's what, the law says, that you've got to give up your firstborn, and that's what God had told him to do. You got to kill him, right? So when he gets him up there to give him all this business to kill him, an animal was provided there in the thickets. And this was going to be the placement. Instead of him killing this was going to be it. Something was going to be provided. So it's really showing that, it was symbolic. And he later on goes to get shot. He gets shot by an arrow, his son, from far off. Those were old stories. I have to go back and refresh my memory on those. But anyways, what we get out of this is Joshua. In this particular story, Joshua 2 is referenced because along with that story was this woman. Wasn't this woman also such and such? And this was this woman. Her name was Rahab or Rahab. Rahab the harlot. All right. And what she had done is she switched her brain too. She went from this to a higher thing by letting these two call them spies. It's always those two spies, which is you and this other thing, and then she becomes this woman, and through her actions lets these spies go, and she's redeemed for it. For this. Everything becomes a happy thing. And so, what I was doing is I was looking it up, and I said, what do you think the name Rehab or Rahab means, And it looks to me like it, well, I'll be damned. I don't think I have anything for her. What did I do? I got one for Joshua. Joshua means Yahweh is salvation. The son of Nun, that's a snake. So Joshua is somebody's messenger, and they're from Shittim. All right, Shittim is a type of wood, and it comes from the acacia tree. And the acacia tree symbolically and spiritually represents renewal, fortitude, and pureness. All right. This is all associated with Joshua chapter 2, and it talks about this, this Rahab woman. All right. So, and all of this is the Shittim is something that for the whole world is to receive this. It has yellow blooms, and a lot of the former or old cultures, yellow is coming over to the sun side, being bright, and just putting on the yellow dress. And we also get this idea that it Jewish people planted at the head of the grave. It's really interesting. People in Europe present the woman with the flower by males. It's presented by males, which is a outside act of what happens inside of us when the male, when the female submits to the male. It also was the kind of wood where the instructions for the ark were written. All right, this is you. You're talking about your skin here. remember the other day I said, oh, I was hoping to hear things about green and grass and wood and this and that and so forth that represents the skin. Well, we hear it. You'll hear it left and right and up and down. In the story, the book of James, because that's what 5 is about. He has five chapters, and this is it. I'm going to go on to the next ones too, because I just love this. This is just the coolest stuff on earth. I wanted to know, I'm going to have to look up what rahab, because I can't believe that I don't have it. I can't believe it's not written down. Rahab the harlot. It sounds to me like rehab, So I'm going to go away from that for a little while, and I'll come back to it some other time. I was also drawn to the word synagogue. And what's the difference between a synagogue and a temple? And so I go to a church site, and they tell me that there is no difference, that they are the same. And I go back into ancient history, and come find out, I found out a whole mess of things. That a synagogue is a place where people gather. So it would be like a church. So when we hear the stories that you're going to be delivered up into the synagogues, because what they're doing is instead of being delivered up to Jesus or to God, you're being delivered up to a synagogue. This is the outside chakra system working, because you got to understand there's two sides to this good side and the bad side. And the bad side is about outside. And of course, this is about mankind. This is all about the skin. So this whole business is going to be about man trying to get over to this other side. All right? And in this group here, what we get is the synagogue. When you bust it all up, it's just the coolest stuff on earth. Gog, G-O-G-U-E, and I want you to understand that Gog is in that. That's like Gog and Magog. All right. They're not going to say anything that they are all together, but I am. All right. Synagogue. We've got the first sin, S-Y-N, that's prefix, and it means together, of, and Gog is this. Check this out. What does it say? Here it says, Agog. Agog is a piece of horse track used for training purposes. This purpose is to encourage the horse to raise the neck, free the shoulders, and engage the hocks, so that he may develop the correct muscles for a rounded top line. It's pretty neat shit. We're considered horses. We're considered this whole idea of putting a bit in your mouth is going to show up in here. I don't think that I am going to do this tomorrow. I'm sort of doing this all at the same time, because one puts a bit in their mouth to make the horse, obey what you have to say. So this is this idea of going over to this other side. You always see me doing like this with the bit, the bridle, and that's in here. That's going to be in number 2, I believe. If not, let me see, 3, because 3 would be bridling. 3 would be bringing all of it together. Let's see real fast. 1, 2, 3. James 3, brethren, not masters. For many offend thee. Behold, this is 3. James 3, number 3. Behold, we put bits in a horse's mouth, that they may obey us. And we turn about their whole body. That means we can do the whole body, the whole thing. The brethren is the body, the whole thing. And remember, this is all about the body. All right. It is so absolutely cool. Here it talks about the tongue, a little member of ours, and boasts great things. Behold, how great a matter a little fire kindleth. Tongue and this fire business are the same. They're the same. Your tongue can say good things. Your tongue can say bad things. You are good or you are bad. Once you clean this up, everything becomes good. All right, that's what they're talking about, and that's what comes out of your mouth can defile you, but it's what goes. He says it's what goes into it. It's what you feed off of. But it's a voice, it's the loud, it's the noise, it's that fifth chakra that I screwed up the other day on. This is that fire. This is that part where you have to something with your mouth. You're supposed to confess with your lips. And let's see. There's a story here that about on the 7th. It says for every kind of beast that's beta conscious, and of birds and serpents, and of things of the seas are tamed, and hath been tamed of mankind. This is number 7 on that same group of people talking about the idea of bridling or controlling the animal in you. All right, it's absolutely beautiful how this thing works out. Let's see here. They talk about if you get your wisdom from outside, it doesn't come from us outside. You'll be deceived. It's supposed to come from above. But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then pleasable, then pleasable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of merry and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy. And the fruit of the righteousness is own. How does it say? And the fruit of righteousness is one in peace of them that makes peace. Because that's what you're trying to do, is make this even side of you. Once you come over to this other side, once you get Jesus working for you and God and all these guys, and you become one, that's that peace, and that is the state of Israel, the peace of mind that we're all trying to do. Remember what God does. God doesn't kill people. He changes their mind. All right? It's just beautiful. It talks about this well. Can a well put out both fresh water and salt water? Not at the same time. It's either one or the other. You can't. Salt water or bitter. The bitters in here are sweet water. It's the same thing. It's the two. It's in chapter 2 in this book. Oh. Thing. Likewise also was not Rahab the harlot, was she justified by her works, when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way? And this is a question. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works is dead also. So this goes in that idea that faith and works, or they say, no, you have to have both. We have to believe in this because we can't see it, but we have to have those works, which means we have to sit down and meditate. That's what works are. We have to work to get those chakras to come alive. That's our works. We have to do this. It doesn't just zip, there you are, you're God's. No. It's the exercise. It's what makes you the disciple. Okay? It's beautiful. Adultery. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not kill. They're in the same line. That's in duality. Do you understand? Adultery is fornicating with someone else. And that is the lower mind. And if you kill, you widowed because you've done this, you're spiritually dead. So, thou shalt not kill. So adultery and told not to kill, they're the same thing. It has to do with our mind. Remember that, because that's like, those are the, anything to do with the wife. You don't take your brother's wife or neighbor's wife, stuff like that, I'm hoping you guys are getting any of this. I'm batting all around this, because this is the only way I can do it, Okay, let's see here. James. Let's go and see what James was about. Hath not God chosen the poor of this world, rich in faith and heirs to the kingdom, which he promises those who love him? That's number 5 that I took out of that. This is the rich man, poor man. Wasn't it given to the poor? Isn't the meek supposed to inherit the earth? This is that meek, is that guy that can bow down, and you become, you supplement. You become this, you become this beautiful thing. He's number 6 of that group. But you have despised the poor. Do not rich men judge you and draw you to the wards? Oh, it's the way I wrote. Do not rich men judge you and draw you towards the judgment seat? This is where those guys are, telling me that I groped him. He was tired of me groping him, and my friends are tired of me groping them. That's what he said. And whenever I went and talked to my friends, which I did today, I haven't groped them. But I do remember, we all have groped each other, man. We are it's called the Key West handshake down here. And amongst queers, groping is not really all that terrible a thing to do. But anyways, you just don't do it to people you don't know. So my friends, he's put up with me groping him for 5 years. I haven't even seen him for 3 months. Hey, anyways, I digress. So anyways, what we have here is, if ye fulfill the royal law according to Scripture, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself, then you'll do well. The neighbor as yourself. This is what they're saying. But ye have respect to persons, and you commit sin, and are convinced of the law of transgression. So, you put your faith in man, a man, into persons, it's people, human beings. You put the boom, boom, there you go. Transgressor, right? I didn't say transdresser, did I? No, I did. But anyways, that leads you into James 2. The rich man, poor man, the putting the right and the left side against each other. All right, go read that. Let's see. If any man among you seem to be religious, and brideth not his tongue, and he is deceiveth. Oh, this is pretty interesting stuff. But he, the doers of the word. This is about this idea of hearing and not hearing. It says here, for there is part of this, supplement the naughtiness. Here we go. It says, but be ye doers of the word, and not hearers only, and not hearers only, deceiving your own selves. That's what it's saying. It says, if you're doing the word, but you're not hearing, and you're not hearing, it takes them both. It actually, you have to have them both working for you at the same time, because you're not going to get it. And it's just not going to understand. So it says that if you are just doers of the word, and this lines up this idea of, of works, versus faith, So if you do the word, that's the faith. And your idea is that the doers of the word and not hearers are deceived. If you be a hearer of the word and not a doer, it's like unto man beholding his natural face to a glass. I'm going to get nowhere, all right? This is pretty cool. But whosoever should looketh into the perfect law of liberty and continue therein, he is not forgetful hearer, but a doer of the word, and this shall be blessed in his deed. All right, so that's what I got, because I do have both. I do, and I teach. I'm now I'm an apostle of Christ. All right. It's just the coolest thing, you guys. All right, I want to get back to these other words again. Not to err, beloved brethren. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. This idea, it's on 8. It's talking about this control. Once you get this gift that we get, there's, it's that this energy of God just is permanent. It can't be changed. You can't do anything to it. It's always boom. It's always going to be the same. Always going to be the same. And at the same time, you can't blame it for killing things, because it doesn't do that. It's not a destroyer. This part of things restores and saves things. That's what it does. So stop all that blasphemous about God killing things. All right, so this talk, what have I learned here? It's about patience. Patience. You've got to have patience. You got to go through this. These things have to happen before you go through here. So you get that time of the Gentiles. You get to be this time when your body, where God has given you this slumber, this right to explore and to waver. And that's what they're saying. People that waver, it's like, oh my God, you're just not going to make it there. You're supposed to stand whole straight, But that's what this first part is. It's going to say that, him that waved the earth and stuff like that. Just not going to make it. All right. What else is in this part that I find? What does this mean? You find bargains when you sift through the dross. Dross is worthless rubbish. And, this is that idea that when you go up and get cleaned out, this idea of, burning off the dross, getting rid of the grass. Same thing as the wrath, the fire coming down, and when you're doing smelting or whatever that's called, when you're cleaning out gold and cleaning out, it gets rid of all the impurities and all those things that are foreign to this, all those that are wild, that wild grafting that happens to you whenever you turn to a plant, And this here talks about you being grass, that grass and the flower of the grass burns out, the sun gets down on it and tears it all up. Back to synagogue, all right? So synagogue is a place of training. This is where you go to get your training so that you can learn to lift your head up and try to get up there, the synagogue. So this idea is a place to go where you get your training. So it's church. It's an outside function. It's something that's outside of you. And those people that get mixed up in this are drinking from her, but at the same time, they're getting the word. It's in there. It's in front of their eyes. And when they read it, they're supposed to be able to hear it. But those people, they've been blinded. They don't have the ears to hear. They've been told this, and this is to fulfill the prophecy. That would mean that these guys would have hardened hearts, and that God would have flown the building, he's gone, and that this is what this is about. But being that the book has nothing to do with time, all right, because it's any time. That even back then, the book was there to show them that there's a way. There's just Moses holds out his hand. This whole idea, Jesus holds out his hands. What's this hand business? What's the power? You got the power in your right hand. Stuff like that, and that right hand is also that, when you go down, you're going to the right side, and your buddy, your neighbor is your, the right hand side of you. The devil is on the left side. When it comes to the angels and stuff, we have Jesus on the right side, because just the word right, and you had the left, because it's going the other direction, That's why you got 2 feet. That's why you got 2 Pisces. Those help you give you your directions. Where am I going? Where do I want to go? All right. So that splitting up the word synagogue is just this idea. This is a place where people join together and to learn about God. And they'll be persecuted by these people while they're in there. They're gonna never make it up to the top. Their tribulations and all these things are gonna be, massive. There's no intervention, and there's no cleaning. So there's this. You're just constantly living this business. And so what they're trying to say is that the more full you get of this outside, that when you finally come through and get cooked, and all of those demons and all this evil and bad stuff in you is gone, they're just glad you sucked it all up from the outside world and put it in you into this big heap, and then take it up there to clean it up. So, just like the outside world is using us to pollute us, to kill us, and our pineal gland with these different drugs and different things, the body is telling you, bring in this shit, I'll take care of it, I'll eat it up, I'll get rid of this evil, It's kind of what it's saying, don't you think? It says that if you can learn to understand this, you can drink poison and not die. Well, that means because it gave you this right that you can live out here in the open and, still put up with it, All right, so let's try this again. Temple. The difference between a temple is there's only one. And, of course, the temple is destroyed. And so there's no temple for them guys to go to, right? In the outside world, they've been cut off from God. God has left, the building has left. And they have too. You have to understand that this whole idea that they have rejected God, and they chose the Sabbath to worship Him on. So He's going to this Father, the brother of Jesus, the brother of all of this. They're the lower side. That's all that's saying. And when you do this, there is no temple anymore. Then we have to rebuild the temple, and that's that idea of Solomon coming in. He rebuilds the temple because, David on the other side is just always busy with war all the time, But then later on, that what's his name? Because they have to end out this way. Solomon's tricked. In a way, he runs off with the number 666. So what does he do? He is recaptured by the lower conscious, and he's wandering in the wilderness. All right? It's a sad thing. But he was paid. He was given some money. He was taken. He was taken by mankind, and that's what happens when people toss their silver into the streets. They're talking about taking your silver, this part of you that you used to connect to the Lord with, giving it away, tossing it away. And it's not the same thing as the rich men putting all their money into this thing. It's the widow. Remember, it's to the kingdom of heaven is for those people that are without. Those blessed are those that are weak, That's the ones that make it. And, rich people have it all already. They have no problems. They'll never make it to heaven. So the temple, there is only one temple, and it has it has three particular sides to it, or an insides. As holy as the holies, and only one preacher or the priest is allowed in there, and he's the one. And on the outside, in the real days, on the outside, what they do, they took up these. They had a couple of dice, and they would take those 2 dice and the answer questions with it. That's divining. That's not using God. That's witchcraft, right? So the better way to serve God is to go up to His place where He dwells, a place that wasn't built by hands, and there was not one sound made in the making of it, like through tools and hammers and stuff like that. And there was something else about it that was really neat. No tools were used on it. All right? And one of the wonderful ways to get into this place was there was a spiral staircase to get into it. This is the mother of us all, where they talk about up and down, which are in and out. Up is always good in these stories. Over to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right. It's always a good thing too. To the east. You can see how it can become real confusing, but if I can keep all this stuff in my mind, you can do it too. You don't have to be a teacher. You just be a disciple, and you could learn how to be a disciple just off understanding one of these things. You don't even have to understand it. If you could hear me and say, hey, look, all you got to do is go over there and shut the hell up in the darkness. For your pineal gland's sake, day and night. It's nighttime. You can make things dark during the day. You can do it anytime, but the only time this thing functions, one way during nighttime and one way whenever it's not. Okay, that's the only way to get it to work. All right, and you have to go in darkness before it'll even work. That's the whole idea. When you get to 6, when you get to the 6th chakra, darkness comes across the land, and we're getting ready for the day of the Lord, the 7th chakra. This is the moon phases coming in and stuff like that. But it has to be dark in order for the magic to happen. It just needs to be dark for this thing to work. All right, that doesn't mean just putting blinders on. Light penetrates your whole body. So I just go into your closet and shut the door. Make yourself an ark. Pitch it in, inside, and out. And then take no thought. So wonderful. So that's the difference between a synagogue and a temple. We still get that duality. We get this outside for the synagogue, all right? And we get this inside for the temple. They got the synagogue for the outside, where you have the church, and their temple is also outside on top of something, well, whatever. But if they only knew that all they had to do was go inside themselves, meet up with this energy, the Father. This is so cool. You should read this, James. It'll open your mind. It absolutely will. I skipped over it enough, but I hope that would make it hungry for you to say, wow, and you go through there and oh my God, you'll start having just, wow, you like me, it just freaks me out, in a good way. It really does. The word Gog, real fast before we go, and I knew this would take a long time. Gog is right smack dab in the middle of synagogue. All right. The word Gog has Gog and Magog, and the way it's written in there, they are two different things, but they mean the same thing. So if you know about duality, it means one is open and one is closed. And what they're talking about, remember, this is the synagogue, right? The roof. This is the roof right here. This is that idea that from the sixth chakra, is the door going to open? Or is the door going to stay shut? Because you got to have time for the devil to come in here and fuck around. And this is where everyone's joining at the seashore, to listen to Jesus before they get fed. All right? So what it means is Gog and Magog. And remember, they're all saying that something terrible is going to be coming from the north. And they blame, or they said it's going to be Russia or China, something red. Something along those lines, a bear, All of this stuff is talking about the emotions. This is this spiritual side of us, which is about patience. This is the idea. It's a female thing, so it's the northern part of our body. So that's why she is Gog. No, it's a she. It's where we get this impulse to come and see God, to come home, the real home. All right. All right, so I'm not going to do any more to you guys, I promise. And we're not going to talk anymore about people, about what makes friends and stuff like that. All we learn is that, we do our best, and they don't have to have a good reason to get away from you. I'm not going to hold anyone. Not going to make anyone be my friend that doesn't want to be it, regardless of how silly their excuses are. But, I've already gotten a laugh with a few of my friends because, we're all queers, and I went through what do we call it again? What happens when you're on drugs and an intervention. I was going through a groping intervention with this guy's husband, the one that didn't want to do any arguing. I said, how did my political stance with you, this political problem that we have, this thing, turn into a groping exercise? A groping intervention. We got to be serious about that. I think it has ties to Trump grabbing pussy. Oh my God. All right, you guys, I've had enough. I'll talk to you later. I love you. What a long one. Peace out.